it's Cher from Cher Made Crochet, back for another video. This is a video that I'm going to talk to you about what I am wearing. Now, I can only do so much where I'm at. I will be properly modeling it for you at the beginning or at the end of this video because I feel that you deserve at least that much. Anyways, this pattern is a pattern by a YouTuber that goes by the name of Milagros Ena. Now, she only speaks Spanish and she doesn't do English subtitles. So thankfully she does it slow enough and clearly enough that I could follow along even though I don't speak the language. And basically what I did was I wrote down my notes. So I basically transcribed her pattern from Spanish to English so that I could, if I forgot something, then I could go back to it relatively easily. It's an hour-long video, so I wanted to make sure that any part I had a question on, I could refer back to on my notes. It's pretty easy, and I actually found it, somebody on YouTube this time, on Facebook, on one of my Facebook group things that I belong to, they posted this absolutely beautiful poncho, and then they made sure to link it when they posted it. So I was able to follow the link and subscribe to this person's channel, and also save the video because I couldn't find the post anywhere after that. So I was really lucky to keep this pattern. It is a poncho with sleeves. I call it a swancho. And this particular one that I'm wearing right now is made using Lamia Silky. It doesn't have the color name on it, but it's like a silvery blue color. And it's a fingering weight yarn, and I used a 3.5mm crochet hook. Rest in peace, Hobium. I miss you so much. But yeah, so that's this. This second one is made using a worsted weight yarn and a 6mm hook. It is Lion Brand jeans in top stitch, and this pattern is so versatile because honestly, when you make the poncho, you start off at the neck and you just you work around and around and around, and there are two parts that are increased parts, and they are the center front and the center back. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, and the other one is a little bit more like a fall kind of swancho because it's got the turtleneck. Now, this one used 6 skeins of the worsted weight yarn. This one here used 7.5 balls of fingering weight yarn. From my Ravelry post, because I made a Ravelry projects page, it said that it equated to about 2,600 yards or about 2,400 meters. So a lot of fingering weight yarn. And I'm a small person, but I also think that with how big this is, it would be a one size fits most kind of ordeal. So anyways, this one also has sleeves, but it also has fringe. I really hate fringe, but I thought it made this poncho look more complete. Now, I started this one back in, I want to say March or April-ish. And I made 3 big mistakes. The first mistake was visible, and it was the only reason I knew I had made a mistake. I didn't realize that there were like much bigger mistakes hidden behind that. But so each of these motifs, it's a 3-round repeat, and every round is the same for the motifs. It interchanges between the motifs, but anyways, for whatever reason, I guess I didn't memorize the pattern correctly, and I did 1 row twice, and in one of the motifs I was actually in a different place than I should have been than the rest of them. And basically what it came down to was, like, say I was doing 7 front post stitches. Well, for whatever reason, the other motif had a different stitch count, and it was really weird. And it finally got to the point where I was bothered by it so much that I ripped it all back. That was probably the equivalent of about 30 rows. I was really upset that I had to rip it out, so I put it aside for several months. And then I decided that I wanted to try it again, but I wanted to make sure to try it from scratch because I wanted to know the pattern before I tried to fix the brown poncho. And I'd like to say I did a pretty good job. Basically, with smaller crochet hooks and yarn, my tendons in my hand get really sore. So in order for me to rest that part of my hand, I go to larger yarn sizes. So by that point, I was probably like down to my shoulder, and it had already taken up like maybe 2 or 3 balls of the Lamia Silky. So I decided to rip it all back and try again. And I actually ended up finishing this about 2 weeks before I finished this. I had made another mistake where I just basically skipped 1 motif, and I had to rip back about a skein and a half worth of progress, and that was like 3 days worth of work. So I was really mad that I had to rip it all back, that I decided to just put it aside and work on it when I wasn't mad at it anymore. So I knew I was going to get back to it. I just needed to put it in timeout for a little bit. So I started working on like the hat and this pattern here and just a bunch of little things to kind of keep my mind off of the what I had done. My mistake in like having to rip everything out. I really despise frocking things, and if I could, I would totally have just winged it, but I couldn't wing it. With lacy projects, you really just can't afford to do that. So yeah, that's it for this pattern. So once again, this pattern is by Milagros Ena. She speaks only Spanish, but she does do it very clearly and slowly. But I highly recommend that you grab a pen and a pad and you watch it through to a certain point at least once, at least until you get to the repeat part, because that's going to take a while. But just take notes, because I thought I could go through it by memory because it's just 3 rows. But I couldn't, and that led to mistakes and it being put aside for 6 months. So yeah, definitely recommend you take the time to put a pen and pad down if you're interested in that. I think I'm rambling now, so I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I do a little modeling show for you, because I would like to properly show you all of this poncho, swancho. So yeah, until next time, bye.